All right, so um, that I mean, these eyes of mine got sweaty for a second there, cause that kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that, but that was beautiful. That was a really beautiful thing. Um, I'm guessing he reforged Pyrrha's armor into his own weapons, and that's beautiful. It really is. It's a way to carry on the memory and the in a way the spirit of what could have been. You infuse it with your own, and that's really good. That's beautiful. It really is. Um, so let's talk about. Let's start off with the Council of Evil, so to say. Clearly, it wasn't just Cinder that was operating for the Queen. I'm guessing that's the Queen, and if I recall correctly, based on comments that I've read and also on the credits scene, if I recall correctly, her name is Salem, which is easy to remember because of the town of Salem, where the witch is and everything. So, so Salem has her council of evil that's comprised of four people, one of which is Cinder, and other three people that we just met for the first time, I think, right? Yeah. A psycho, and the other two, I don't know how to label them right now, but it is a chance that they're either strategist and infiltrator, I would say. It speaks to me what their roles are. One of them is very clever, and I'm guessing the other one looks like somebody that can infiltrate and betray, kind of like a betrayer, like a spy. Those are the two roles that are left because the psycho, honestly, he's he's the eliminator, so to say. And Cinder, now being the new Fall Maiden, she's, I'm guessing, the glass cannon in a way. She's the force. She's the power. So you need your strategist or your glue that holds everybody together, and then the other one would be the spy or the infiltrator for larger scale kind of things. Cinder infiltrated, but her infiltration was like, small. She infiltrated an academy, but if I were to take a guess, or not a guest, but a guess, I would say that her infiltration was able to be accomplished because of help from this strategist, because he might have an understanding of the inner workings and how everything operates. So this is the crew. This is the crew, so to say. Everybody has a purpose. Now, based on the roles that Cinder assigned, I mean not Cinder, Salem assigned, he gave the hunt for the Spring Maiden to the Psycho at first, but I'm sorry, it's it's how do I explain it? Like he's the Hound. That's the best I can come up with. He's the Hound. He's the hunter. He's the eliminator. the assassin. He goes out and he seeks out targets, finds them, right? So he gave that task to him, but then she switched and gave him the task to find Ruby and bring her to Salem. Now, the mustache man, whose name I forgot right now, but that's my one weakness, names. I tell you, I'm horrible with names. But mustache man, uh, he was given the task to take Cinder's place and go to, where was he going? Haven? Yeah, or Mistral. One of both. They were going to the same place that I think where Ruby was going, because Ruby was going to Mistral or to Haven. They're going to, it's the same place. Haven is located in Mistral, so they're going to Haven. I'm going to go with Haven because the academy is, the important part of the kingdom. So, and then Deep Voice, his location, his task was to meet with Adam and continue their joint venture, so to say. Right. So, based on these assignments, yeah, I'm gonna say that Deep Voice is the glue that holds everybody together, and Mustache Man is the strategist, the one that can blend in and get things that they need, the one that organizes strategies. Now he was giving Cinder a hard time. Why? I'm not sure. But he was taking also pleasure in it because he kept smirking whenever she would get frustrated or flustered or upset. So he doesn't have that much empathy towards Cinder. Could it be because of jealousy that she was chosen as the maiden, that she's a girl? Because overall, if you think about it, Salem is correct in saying that Cinder's mission was a success. Destruction of Beacon Tower, um, World in Chaos, acquiring the Fall Maiden's powers. This is all pretty positive result. The only downside is that, the silver-eyed warrior, so to say, has been living at large. And they say that they've dealt with that with their kind before. So maybe they have eliminated other silver-eyed warriors because hmm, I'm remembering Volume 3 near the end when Crow was talking to Ruby, explaining about how she did a number on that beast and everything. So this Council of Evil has been out for a while. and they've dealt with other silver-eyed warriors that come before Ruby. But since this one got away, this is probably the biggest threat that they're facing. And because Ruby was able to do what she did at the end of Volume 3, it is possible to completely put a halt in the operations of the bad guys, so to say. Now, what does this mean for us? Hmm. And really quick, let's go back to the beginning because there were Grimm coming out of these pools of, it looked like blood jelly, something like that. But it reminds me of the big dragon near the end of Volume 3, where it started dripping and Grimm came out of these puddles. And I talked about this I don't want to call it a theory, but a thought I had back then when I was talking about the end of Volume 3, where evil or bad things kind of like condense in this liquid and produce Grimm, and dragon sweat, is the catalyst to bring it out and into existence. The origin of Grimm. But this place where they're at, I'm not sure where they are located right now because they have a view of the moon, but at the same time, there was another moon reflected that was whole in the liquid that, based on the angle, was above the camera while we panned up, the the fragmented moon was in front. Now, clearly, it is possible for people to access this area, but the question is it openly available in the kingdom or in the world of Remnant? Can you access this place just by walking in a certain direction and boom, you're there? Or do you have to use other means to reach this destination? In particular, I'm thinking, I mean, we've seen it before, portals. In particular, like these black red outline portals that we saw, what's her name? The other black, Raven. We saw Raven use. Where after she saved Yang, she opened up portal and just walked through it, and then the portal closed. So there are portals, there are gateways that are accessed. Now that's my question, or not my question, but what I'm thinking about is this place. But if it's only accessible through portals, why do they have a view of the moon? The best explanation that I can come up with for now, based on the little information that I currently have, is either subdimension or like what's this series? Stranger Things, the Upside Down, where it's like a shadow world over the world we live in. Either that, or or like Minecraft, like the Nether, where you move a little bit here, but in the Nether you don't really see the sky. I'm guessing the best explanation would be the shadow world, like kind of like the Upside Down in Stranger Things, is one way to think about it, where you can access it, and it's like a shadow negative image of the world we currently live in. Now, granted, it's flooded with Grim, and chances are that when rifts open, Grim come out from these destinations, and for some reason that sounds really familiar. Have we seen Grim coming out of portals? I don't know, but for some reason I can totally imagine that. I can imagine a portal opening up and Grim coming out of the portal. So it is possible that this subdimension, this another world, this upside down, this shadow realm has access and key rift points of the world of Remnant. So that's what I'm holding on to for now. Now, that's as much as I can come up with in the Council of Evil. Now we move on into the first fight. Now, as I mentioned in the other trailer, not the trailer, the the trailer, the character preview for Volume 4, it clearly shows that RWBY has become more adept in utilizing her semblance because she's just swishing and swooshing all over the place, and she's using it to her advantage in combat as well. So that's reflected. Um, and that still carries true. And it's funny that John is the strategist, so to say, because no, you won't need a weapon. You're the strategist. You won't fight. That's funny. But in the first battle, we're introduced to new Grim we haven't seen before. Considering the fact that if we remember or if we recall from Professor Port's classroom, he pretty much had a diagram of all the Grim that we saw from Volume 1 to Volume 3, and he had the names of it. But once again, we're introduced to another Grim, and this one is apparently one that can possess inanimate objects and treat them as extensions of his body. So I believe the name was what was terrorizing your town? I forgot. Gast. I don't know, but something that can possess inanimate objects and treat it as extensions of his body. He had rocks. The rock arm broke. He produced another arm, possessing arm, to attach to a tree, and now the tree became his limb. So that's what he had going on. Once he had no more limbs, just like John has summarized, he left the rock body and maybe in hopes to possess something else or to flee. And eventually he was taken down by. Maybe he has an ethereal body that can't really have any physical contact unless it's possessing something. So that kind of makes sense. On its own, it's weak, but when it starts building upon his body, he becomes much stronger and much more of a threat. Um, so we're introduced to New Grim, and something tells me that's not the only New Grim we're gonna see. We saw the gorilla in the character short. We saw this possessing spirit Grim. Hmm. Hmm. Back to the Council of Evil really quick. They say that Cinder killed Ozpin. I don't buy it. I am certain that she might have done some big attack and then he time warped. I'm still holding on to that thought. He time warped. He went somewhere else. Um, what else? What else happened after that? Into the village. He got his armor with the Pira upgrades. That was really touching. It really was. It got to me. I felt it. Um, but show must go on, so to say. And what was up with the worker, I guess? The barn worker? What was up with that kid? I couldn't figure out his purpose, but apparently he's important because he got a good amount of showing his daily routine, which is. But wait a moment, why was he dreaming the meeting? Because he kind of like woke up from the meeting. Is he able to see things that are happening or that have happened? Is he like a clairvoyant someone that has an understanding of what happens behind doors or what happens in other places? Because if he is, then I'm guessing he's going to play a key role in allowing the team to access this subdimension, this shadow realm, to access it, and maybe even he might be the one that provides a gateway for the team to reach this destination. So he's going to become a valuable asset to the team regarding yeah, regarding the defeat of the Council of Evil. He's going to be able to whoops, I'm sorry for the earthquake. He's going to be able to, because if he was dreaming that meeting, right? If he was dreaming that meeting, and that means he's connected, he's synchronized with this location, with this area, and he's going to be able to either provide access to them, like link up both worlds, or maybe he might be able to like shut down the entire thing. I don't know. I don't know what his role is just yet, but I think he might be an important character because he has access to the shadow realm, the that subdimension where these guys are meeting or gathering. Interesting. Um, all right, so that happened, and then they left on, and then what else happened after that? The fight, and then this. Mm-hmm. 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 And then let me see. Mhm. Right. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm replaying everything to make sure I don't forget anything that I saw that was interesting or cause for concern. Um, Up until this point, I think that's it. And then we go to Atlas, where we see Weiss sitting down, looking out her window, and the ships fly by. And in the background, I saw that painting, which is very interesting, of the. It looks like this armored knight, I guess you can call it. This armored knight that, oh man, that first appeared in the white trailer and then later on appeared as a tiny little sword. I'm remembering all these little details. And then in the ending of volume 3, we only saw the arm swinging the same sword that it was holding in this classic knight posture, if you will. And I remember I said, if that was the arm and the sword, imagine how big the rest of it is gonna be. And this thing is ginormous, which we know because we saw it in the white trailer when he was dueling Weiss. And the reason they were fighting was because that was the okay, and it's making sense now. It's kind of like I'm making the connections here. I'm making the connections in which what was her name? Winter told Weiss that we have our semblance gives us the power to summon creatures that we have defeated. So when Weiss defeated this giant armor, she now has it in her inventory of things she can summon. And I remember I was talking about this and I made the comparison that Winter defeated a lot of little Nevermores because she threw that at Crow at one point. But but all right. So Weiss is working on her summoning when she met with Winter, and because of her practice and training, show me what you got. And we thought nothing came out except for that little tiny sword. And in the battle where it mattered, the stress or whatever the case may be, the instinct kicked in and opened just enough summon gate to have an arm pop out with the sword and ping ping protected Weiss and then, kept on doing its thing. Oh man. So that picture on the wall is, I guess, her primary summon, what she's aiming for. I wonder if she's gotten better since then. But chances are probably not, because her father came to pick her up once the whole incident happened in Beacon. And the butler came to look for her because her father was asking for her. All right. So that's that. And then we're presented with the intro. Opening sequence. Now, there was a lot going on, and I'll talk about what I remember. But in the beginning, we have the Tower of Beacon blowing up, and then these color spheres, which just so happen to match up with the colors of RWBY, fly out of it. And we have a graphic representation of what happened to each one, which is very interesting. If I understood that correctly, it definitely looked like yellow went to the Patch Island, white went to Atlas, black went to. Where did black go to? I guess. I don't know if it was Minstrel or maybe further down. But red went to Mistral, and I'm guessing towards Haven. So that's cool. So Team RWBY scattered, and everybody is now in different directions. Where did it go? I don't remember where black went to. I think it kind of like went with red, I think. But that happened. And then we see, oh, what happens next after this? Mm, 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 mhm, mhm, mhm. Oh man, that's the best thing I can remember. Gosh, it's the thing that made the most impact to me. Um, there's fighting scenes. It shows characters. I saw James in the background, and he looked terrible. He looked like, when you have a really rough day at work, where you have that 5 o'clock shadow. Yeah, he looked pretty bad. Um, but he probably was talking to. I don't know who the guy in the front was. I know I've seen him before, but I don't know. Trying to remember where. He's not a council member. I don't know. So that happened. Fight scenes, fighting the Grim. Mhm, mhm. See Council of Evil and the highlights of them there. And Salem. And then. Hmm. And then we see, let's talk about Yang really quick. And then we see Yang having an internal struggle with her former self because it clearly, she was like, I guess, she was in a fighting stance with, with her dad. Um, but then she's like tormented and like, and she sees herself with both arms. So clearly she has some struggles, some mental struggles that she has to like face. And then also it's like nightmarish where Adam isn't like in the background and she's like falling and like um so she has trauma. Based on that intro, she has trauma with what happened. And what else? What else can we pick up because of what happened? Um, mhm, mhm. Blake was on a boat. With Sun. And we see what I'm guessing is her family, especially the big tall guy, because he kind of like pushes his son away, and then we see what looks to be, I don't know if it's her mom or her sister that's hugging her. I'm not sure. So we see a little bit of Blake's. I'm guessing it's her family. I don't think Blake is an orphan. I don't think she's ever said that she's an orphan. I know that she was exposed to the White Fang growing up, and that she was very involved with it. Yeah, I'm not sure. But that happened. And then the White Fang is still an issue because we see those White Fang people kind of like in the karate stance. and Adam, I think Adam was in the background at that point. Oh, so much happened so fast. I'm trying to piece things together. But yeah, I'm not gonna delve too much into it. But a lot of interesting things are presented to us with the opening of Volume 4. Because if you really think about it, on Volume 3, the opening itself was very symbolic as well. It predicted the fall of Beacon Tower, if you really think about it. Mirrors were shattered, crushed by the weight of the world, and it shows the glass shattering of Beacon Tower where Ozpin was in. The pillars will fall in shame. There'll be no love, there'll be no rest, there'll be no hero in the end that will rise above. And when it ends, victory for hate incarnate, misery and pain for all when it falls. And that's exactly what happened at the end of Volume 3. Sorry. So, if we take a closer look at the Volume 4 opening, I'm sure we can also try to pick up some of these interesting things that might be presented to us in Volume 4 that might be coming down the line. So I'll pay extra attention next time in the opening sequence of the Volume 4. So, how long have I been recording? Whoop! I'm over my time limit. It's been an hour. Yikes. Thank you. I'm gonna leave it here. We'll whatever I pick up next time, we'll talk about it more in depth. But yeah, I'll leave it here. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate all your support, everything that you do. Do I have announcements to make? I'm not sure. But if I do, I'll remember and I'll probably make another separate video some other time. But, so yeah, we'll leave it here. Yeah, I think I'm good. Until next time, take care and bye-bye. ふわふわふわふわふわふわりくるくるくるくるくるくる回るのふわふわふよふよふわふわりうるるくるくるふわふわ飛び出したの